And now with the speech entitled Stride On Sisters, can you please welcome Joan Fitzgerald.
I'm trying to practice what Brendan's office making I can't. Or Bernard, sorry.
On the spot.
Good evening, Madam Toastmaster, President, members and fellow guests, and thank you very much for allowing me to give my level 2 speech. I've just returned from a 3-day stay in the Abbey Glen in Clifton, where a new little group was formed called Stride On Sisters, and I want to give you the background into it. It all started, well, it's kind of been starting over the years. I have 2 sisters, my younger sister Catherine, my older sister Antoinette, and I'm the one in the middle. And we've always got on well, but we've lived in 3 different corners of Ireland, so we've never actually spent much time together. There's 8 years span between the youngest and the oldest, so we kind of grew up kind of in separate groups, etc. But we used to meet family occasions, stay the odd night in each other's houses, and always got on really well. So we were always threatening to go away on holidays together, but a little bit nervous because, you know, family situation, 3 people like that, it may not work out. And we knew we had a nice relationship, and we were wondering, should we risk it? But on the occasion of my sister's 50th birthday, my younger sister, we decided we'd take the bull by the horns and go away. So we set aside 4 to 5 days each, and it was November, so the timing wasn't great. We like the outdoors, and we decided we'd do a walk. So we eventually settled on the Camino. And because we didn't think Ireland would be great at that time of year, and because our time was so short, we decided we'd do the tail end of the Camino, which is kind of an add-on. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the Camino, but it's a pilgrimage from around Europe into Santiago. And there's a little add-on after the end of the pilgrimage for people who couldn't stop walking, basically. They just kept walking out to the sea at Finisterre, and we decided we'd do that section of it, which was a 3 to 4 day walk. So we set off anyway, and we were still a little bit nervous about how the 4 days would go, and the first night was a bit of a disaster because we booked ourselves into a hotel in Santiago, 1 room with 3 of us. And what we hadn't realised was we'd all learned to snore in the years in between us being kids and adults. So we kind of, in rotation, kept each other awake all night long. So after that, it was single supplement all the way, because we had decided to go the hotel route and not the hospital route, because the hotel route actually is quite reasonable. It was only 25 euros a night. But from then on, things went brilliantly. We had a lovely 3-day walk. Unfortunately, the weather, because it was November, wasn't great, but it's a nice time to do the Camino because you have it to yourself, really. There isn't a lot of people around. There's enough just for company. There's enough to eat in the evenings and have a nice meal with them. But it was great. We got on exceptionally well. I mean, at some times we were doubled over laughing, etc. You know the way women get together, but it was good fun. And at the end of that, then we decided, because it was such a success, we'd try it again. So we actually didn't get together. We didn't get the time again till last September, where my eldest sister had a free house. She lives in the Burn in Clare now. A free house at 50 is a little bit different to a free house at 18. So we bought our walking boots and everything, and we did a 3-day walk in the Burn, which was absolutely magnificent. I hadn't spent time in the Burn before, and just the landscape, the limestone and the scenery and the wildflowers, and actually what really fascinated me was all the ancient settlements around the place, everywhere you walked, and trying to imagine how people lived years ago, or thousands of years ago, under those circumstances. So again, that was a great success. So we actually ended up in our last trip was the Abbey Glen in Clifton, where we got a remarkable deal. We 59 euros a night, dinner, bed and breakfast, and afternoon tea and coffee. It was exceptional. That was in February. That was just a couple of weeks ago. Again, we had 2 lovely walks in Clifton. We climbed Erisbeg and Brownstone and walked around Dogs Bay. It was about a 5-hour walk. And then the next day we did a walk in Omey Island, which is a really magical place. Now, both walks we got from a book that was launched last year called Walking in Connemara and Mayo. Now, funny things happened on Omey Island. Well, some of you might be a bit shocked by this, but I was going through Paul Phelan's account on Omey Island of where you go, and they were saying when you come around the corner, there's an ancient burial site. And don't be shocked if you see human remains. So we walked along, and my sister said, "Will you look at that? It was an elbow ball socket." It was as if there was somebody from the tourist board actually there, you know, putting out the moment for us to take a picture of. So anyway, that trip went well. Unfortunately, again, the weather let us down. That day got extremely wet, but staying in the Abbey Glen, we were delighted to go back to the hotel and soak in the bath and have our afternoon scones and coffee. And we actually, that night, we watched the Way, which was kind of full circle. It's the Martin Sheen's story of the Camino. So, and in the middle of that, we got a call from reception to say they were having a champagne reception in the bar. So we went down to that. That was a good evening. So anyway, we decided that we had tried it 3 times now, and it has worked very well for us. So we decided we were going to form a little group called Stride On Sisters, and we now have a Facebook page set up where we're storing our photographs. And the big debate at the moment is, do we let our brothers join us?